Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
So it's supposed to be debating anyway?
So do I have to push that slash key every time I want to talk? Is that how it works?
You got it, yeah.
And then when I'm done talking, I just I hold down on the button.
Yes, sir.
You hold down when you talk, you release when you don't want to.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm haven't hardly ever used Discord at all. So.
Welcome to Discord.
Welcome. So Isaac, you there?
Ask yourself is not here.
Oh, he left. Okay.
Well, he's in the other chat room.
I just wanted to see if he was just a clickbait type of a debater, or if he's someone who really was serious about debating veganism. And the reason I say that is because when people like Count Dankula put up just an absolute pure troll video, he's all over that and he wants to debate Count Dankula with his juicy social media presence. When I do several videos dedicated to taking down Name the Trade, he's not interested in all. So that kind of just shows that you're kind of doing it for the clicks and the whiz and the publicity. He'd debate me if he was serious about debating veganism.
I think he'll debate you just because you've got enough of a following. But I've seen your videos, man, and they're not. It's not really threatening.
Oh, it's not threatening. I mean, someone has to be. I know you're a vegan, so the more I'm toward veganism, the smarter I am. The more I am strongly toward mediating, the dumber I am. Because that's your point of view, and so that's where your view comes from.
No, that's not correct at all. I've met people across all kinds of.
Ask yourself is exactly like that, because he said. His quote was, quote, "That guy T is the smartest of all these skeptics that I debated. Of all of them I've debated, he seems to be the smartest." And you know why that guy T was declared the smartest? He was declared the smartest because he was the closest one who said, "Yeah, really, you guys are right. We shouldn't be animal agriculture is bad. I do eat some meat, but I'm trying to. You guys are really right." So that made him smart.
I don't know about
Nice.
smart, but it
Nice,
probably
bro.
puts him as definitely one of the most intellectually honest.
No, that's just kind of the internet. I mean, the geniuses or whoever agrees with you, and the more someone disagrees with you, the dumber they are. So it's extremely subjective when you say that my videos don't have any threat.
No, it's just a lot of it. I think I've watched your videos, and I'm not sure you particularly grasp the argument. And none of your nothing that you've said actually gets around the argument.
No, that's poisoning the well. That I've not grasped the argument. It's that I'm rejecting your arguments. I'm hearing your arguments, but I'm putting some cold water reality on it, and you're not liking that, so you're dismissing anything that I say. And that's poisoning the well. That's poisoning the well and that's extremely common poisoning of the well that comes from veganism. Is, oh, you don't understand.
No, it's not so much that you don't understand. It's that you don't seem to grasp the specific argument. I mean, I can just start you off and say, do you believe in human rights? or basic negative right?
No, rights are something that people grant to other whoever they want to. And so what we've done as humans, we've granted rights to certain groups. And I explained that in my last video. Humans in groups like pets and zoo animals, endangered species. So we consistently take groups, we grant them rights. And outside of that, you pretty much do what you want. That's the only thing you can do is grant people grant rights to alleviate any kind of moral problems or ethic problems or fairness problems. You have to grant rights.
Yeah, I mean, what is your consideration of these rights? As in, why are we giving these creatures these rights?
Namely
What
trait.
we're doing is we're giving humans the right to provide their own provisions, provide their own survival, which includes choosing their own foods. Right. So it's actually the vegans who have to defend stripping that right away, something that has been our right for countless centuries. Then you want to go to this new thing because the beans are available. Do you agree that people like Eskimos and indigenous people, it's okay for them to kill animals?
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about the name the beans argument. So you've sort of gone all over the place. Do you understand the difference between positive rights and negative?
Yeah, explain negative rights.
Yeah, so negative rights is basically just your right not to be fucked with in a certain way. Whereas your positive rights is what extra things are you owed or what extra things can be done.
No, that doesn't make sense. You can do whatever you have the right to do whatever you want to. Okay, whatever you're capable of doing, you can do. And then what we do is we take away your ability to do things like murder or enslave or rape, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good start. So why do we take away the right to murder and enslave and all that?
But no, that's not taking away a right. That is something that we grant.
No.
Choice.
Okay, so no. I'm not talking about the food. So I'm just saying specifically about murder, okay? Why do we restrict people's rights?
Why do we restrict people's rights? Well, we do so on a fairness agreement.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, all things are. I can give you a perfect example of how all things are structured by fairness. Let's say, for instance, are you against all slavery?
I'm against slavery. Yep.
Okay. Just pretty much all slavery, right? Any kind of chattel slavery where somebody is in chains and they're forced to work.
No, you may be able to describe a situation where I can accept that slavery would be justified within that situation. But from a basic sort of deontological position, no, I don't think slavery is a morally good thing. Or you might be able to describe a situation where somebody may have to be enslaved because the outcome of not enslaving that individual is so over the top, gruesome, or fucked up.
So then the fairness is in that. So you were against unfair slavery, and that'd be like going up to a family of farmers and capturing them and putting them in chains and making them work for you when they didn't have anything to do with you. Unfair slavery.
Why farmers?
Just an example of just kind of the old time way of a traditional slavery. Or what if you live in a country where someone raped and murdered your family, and the conviction of that murderer was to go to jail, and since you're a vegan, he's going to spend 12 hours a day as your slave, and he's going to grow vegan crops for you and slave and toil.
Yeah, I don't think that would result in, like, why would I want somebody to be enslaved for beans if they murder my family? Like, how are you jumping from A to B to C? Like, if somebody commits murder, then we restrict their right of movement as part of their punishment and also to protect society. Why would I suddenly be okay? Why would I suddenly say, well, we should enslave them for beans?
Well, I'm saying, yeah, he's already in prison. We might as well. I mean, we kind of do this already with this kind of chain gangs, but it probably wouldn't work in the U.S., but there might be a country where that would be allowed, where we figure. And since he's wasting away, he might as well do something to help you, since he's done so much to. But anyway, even though you might not agree with that, someone else might agree with that. Okay, you can be
What
my
exactly?
slave.
What is it?
That would be the whole point.
So just quickly, what is it that you think I disagree with, and what is it that I don't agree with? Like, I agree putting him away in jail if he's murdered my family. I agree with that. But where are you getting that he has to be forced into growing beans for me?
No, you're missing my point. My point is, if we did come to some kind of agreement, if the victim and the court system did that, it would be a fair slavery. So you're not against slavery, you're against unfair slavery. And that goes back to my original point that it's a fairness agreement between, that's why I can't murder. We have to come to an agreement. There's only two possibilities in society. We have wars and warlords. We have pillaging, we have raping. The only other option besides that, if you don't like that, if you want to grow as a society, is we have to come together with an agreement of fairness where I don't murder you, you don't murder me, I don't rape you, you don't rape me. And that works out splendidly. We have to do this. We absolutely have to do this, or things are going to be much, much worse for us.
All right, let's just start with some really basic scenarios, okay? Is it okay for me to just murder? Don't talk about slave beans or anything like that. Just, is it okay for me to just?
Now, are you using the legal sense of murder, which is just like the person is innocent and you're killing them?
Okay, so let me just make it really clear. So it's just an innocent person that's minding their own business. Is it okay for me to just go up to them and just?
No, that wouldn't be okay, because you would not want that done to you. So that's a fairness agreement, and that's what we have to do. You've been kept safe your entire life because no one has done that to you. So it would be unfair for you to do that to someone in society when the entirety of society has not done that to you. And as
Okay, so
you're living and breathing.
You're throwing in social contract and reciprocation there, but let's just assume that I could murder this person and there would be absolutely no ramifications for me. Let's just say I could get away with it. Would it be ethical for me to do it? Just go ahead and kill this. You there, Mike?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to push talk. Yeah, that would be, I would consider that unethical.
Okay. Do you believe that moral differentiation requires justification? I can explain that further if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if I treat individual A differently from individual B in a moral sense, do I need to give reasons for? So if I said it's okay to stab individual A to death, but not morally okay to stab individual B to death, would I have to give a?
Would you have to explain what the difference is between A and B, and why?
Yeah,
Well,
that's
maybe,
it. That's it. So
maybe you just chose to do A or B, or like maybe there's no reason.
yeah, so I'm asking you, do you think if somebody treats individual A differently from individual B, that they should give a reason, or that they shouldn't bother giving a reason? That it's just okay to randomly assign whether it's okay to morally just stab someone to death or not stab?
Well,
or should you give a reason?
I don't see what stabbing person A has to do with person B at all. You would deal with each individual person. So person A, you stabbed him, that you shouldn't have done that, and person B, you didn't stab him. So why? I don't understand how he's coming into the equation. Say person A and the other 7 billion people in the world under that.
Yeah. Don't worry about the 7 billion people. Just really simple, okay? So I've got person A, person B, okay? And I said this was a morally good thing to do. I didn't stab person B, okay? and I said it was morally wrong to stab this person. Do you want a reason as to why I'm treating these two individuals differently? Or do you not need a justification at all and you're just going to be like, yeah, that whatever?
That's why it's not making sense, because there's also 7 billion other people that you didn't stab. So I don't see what you're focusing in on this other one person. You stabbed this one person.
Don't worry about the 7 billion. Don't worry about the 7 billion. There's no point extrapolating. Just concentrate on this one thing, okay? So I'm treating two individuals differently, okay? Do I need to justify why I'm treating these two individuals?
No, you just have to justify why you treated the bad one, because you didn't do anything to one. The other one you treated you violently. So you have to justify why you treated them violently.
But you would want, so exactly. So you want me to justify why it's okay to treat one in one way, but not okay to treat the other in the same way, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, you treated, okay. Yeah, I mean, I suppose so. I mean, I don't see what difference it makes when you got one person where you didn't do anything to, and how they come into equation. It seems like your focus should be on the person that you did something to, not the person that you didn't do something to.
Exactly. Good. Okay. And if I use that justification, do you think I should be consistent with my justification?
You should be consistent with justification of why you murdered that one person. Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay. So that's basically the basic sort of premise, or the basic sort of, pathway for name the trait. Okay. So all of us agree that humans should be given basic negative rights consideration. Okay. And then the next step is, why don't we give this consideration to animals? Okay. And usually the reasoning is because animals are inferior to us in one or multiple ways. So then the next question is, if we reduce a human down to that level, would we treat a human the same way, or would we not treat a human the same way? Okay. And if you don't treat them the same way, then you're being inconsistent. But if you treat them the same way, usually it results in some kind of absurdity. Okay, so that's what name the trait basically means. It's just
I understand all that.
Okay, then what is your reasoning, without going into appeals to tradition and all this stuff? Okay, why is it okay to stab a cow to death, but not a human, just to make them?
You mean the human and the cow? They're both identical now? Is that what you're kind of like ask yourselves? They're both identical.
Yep.
So you have a cow, specifically a cow, and then a human, and they're both identically a cow or whatever, right?
So all of the things that are important to you, we'll just map them out. So okay. Intelligence levels, lifespan.
Video, and how did we first define one of them as human? How did we define them as a human? Because when we started out, we defined one as human and we defined one as animal, regardless of their physical appearance. How did we do that?
Okay, so we don't need to play in word games. I'm not trying to trick you or anything.
Oh, no, that's not a trick. We're going to have to get back into that, because that's where the point is. That's where they were different. One was born to humans. That's how you're human. It has a human connection. I said that. And if the cow, if it has a human connection, it can live too, because we give rights to all humans who aren't murderous. We give all rights to all in-group members. We give rights to all.
So just in Wiki, just in Wiki is the definition of. Sorry, just in the general text, I've put in a Wiki definition of humans. Okay, so it's just really, really simple. So it's just, I think you're saying born to humans is a thing that's defining the difference. By the way, if someone else can jump in, I just need to
explain in my video that they shouldn't treatment regardless if they're human or not. If they're in group, regardless if they're human or animal, They deserve rights.
So in-group is the thing that's differentiating the...
No, in-group is what we give rights to.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's humans are in our specific group of consideration, but...
Animals can be in that in-group too.
Okay. I'm going to head up and just do my shopping if someone else wants to.
You're gonna, well, I didn't hear that. You're going to go shopping?
I'm actually at the shopping center. I've just been waiting a bit and starting it off, but someone else can jump.
Okay, yeah. And back to that, like I say, I think it's going to have to explain why, if he's a shiller or not. And say it's just pretty stark that you know, he would jump on Count Dacula's troll video and take mine not serious. Like I said, I would almost have a video. My collaboration with Bering has over 750,000 views. It's a vegan collaboration. I have more vegan YouTube views than most all of you vegans.
Nice.
There's no reason why Ask Yourself can't have a live debate unless he's really scared or something.
I guess I can stomp Mike quickly. So Mike, what's the difference between an animal and a human that makes it okay to murder the animal but not the human?
There has to be a specific trait, like I explained to you. An animal in in-group, a human in the in-group, they both get protection.
Okay, so the trait is being part of the in-group? Hello?
Name the Name the trait is a dead end broken because we
No, wait, there's a question. Mike, don't dodge the question. The question was, is the trait that you're naming in-group?
No, there's many traits.
Okay, but so what I'm asking you is, what is it that's true of animals that, if true of humans, would justify killing humans for food?
Okay. Cannibalizing an innocent human.
That's not a trait,
It
right?
has to be nothing. Has to be nothing. Just let me
Wait,
explain.
wait, no. Once I'm Mike, I want an answer, right? So just to be clear, are you saying there's no trait?
There's no trait that would allow you to cannibalize an innocent human, because that's what you're asking with name the trait.
Well, just to be clear on the frame, is there some trait that would allow you to do it? The question is there some trait true of animals that, if true of humans, would allow you to do it?
Yeah, allow you to cannibalize them. And we're talking about innocent humans. We're not talking about murderous humans, right?
Yeah, technically, if you say there's no trait at all, then it's implied that there's also no trait true of animals that, if true of humans, would justify murdering the human for food, right? If there's no trait overall, then there's also no trait in animals, because the traits that are true of animals is just a subcategory of the total amount of traits out there. But instead of just assuming that's what you're saying because it's an implication of what you said because you didn't directly answer the question, I'm just putting the question to you directly. So just to be clear, you are affirming that there is no trait true of an animal that, if true of a human, would justify killing the human against their will for food.
Well, if you let me, I was going to answer that. I said we start with the axiom.
Mike, start with a yes or no, because it's a yes or no question, right?
That there is no trait.
Yeah, I'm asking you to affirm or deny the following. So this is a yes or no question, right? So
To cannibalize an innocent person.
The question is there anything true of animals that, if true of humans,
Would allow you to cannibalize an innocent person.
Well, would allow, as in would justify it on your moral system, would justify stabbing a human to death and making them into a hamburger?
Yeah, I explained that there's no trait. Because it's an
Okay.
unusual thing. Because you have to
So
say
just to be
non-human
clear,
human.
wait, just to be clear, so there's
have to
no
focus
trait.
right now.
Well, wait. We
No,
need to
you're
be clear on the
we're
line of
not going to get on the
questioning. We need
witness
to be
stand
clear
like
on the
this
line of
now.
questioning, right? We need to be clear on the line of questioning. So you affirm that there's no trait, and presumably you're also saying that there's differential moral status, right? So as in, it's okay to murder the animal for food. It's not okay to murder the human for food.
Yeah, because we have a fairness agreement with other humans, so we can't murder people for food because you
Okay.
you do not want to be murdered for food.
Yep. So that
You
view
not
has a
murder
logical
others.
contradiction. Yeah. So that view explodes. That's logically contradictory, right? So the reason for that is if you're saying that humans are wrong to stab for food, animals are okay to stab for food, and there's nothing true of animals that, if true of humans, would justify stabbing them to death for food, then you could change every single thing true of the animal. In the human, you could change every single thing to match the animal, and it would remain wrong to stab the human to death for food. But
What
wait,
about
if you
including
change
in
every
group?
single thing in the human to match the animal, then it should take on this property of being okay to stab to death for food, right? So you get a
You're only
logical
talking about
contradiction
physical
there.
properties.
Wait, Mike, it's like you're not even listening to the flow of the logic, right? So if you say that, you end up with this logical contradiction in the form that animals are and aren't okay to stab to death for food, right?
Depending on the context, depending on the situation.
Well,
depending
no,
on-
Mike, no dodging, right? So we already got, we already got what we need to know to understand that there's a contradiction, right? So if it is wrong to stab a human to death for food, it's okay to stab an animal to death for food. And there's nothing true of the animal that, if true of the human, would justify stabbing them to death for food, then a contradiction will follow, right? And the contradiction comes about because if there's no trait, then you can switch all the traits in the human to match the animal. But if you switch all of the traits, then, and the property of being okay to kill does not change, that implies that the animal has the property of being wrong to kill for food. So you end up with this direct logical contradiction of animals are and aren't okay to kill for food.
What if we got this magically switching the properties? What if we magically switch both of their properties to an ear of corn?
Well, wait, you're not, okay, so Mike, I'm getting the impression you actually don't comprehend the logic, right? So you have to, do you understand what, let's start from like real basics. So do you understand what, wait, Mike, do you understand what a logical contradiction is, just as like a starting?
Yeah, try something else.
Well, no, this is the argument, right? So do you understand what a logical contradiction is?
Well, so I got to explain to you why name the trait is unanswerable.
Well, no, what I want to know is, do you understand what a logical contradiction is?
Yeah,
right? So I've tried going down the line of name the trait with you. Well, just a sec, because I've tried going down the line of name the trait with you, so I've explained where the contradiction is, I think either twice or three times now, and you're not appreciating it. So now I need to make sure so now I'm going off of the line of reasoning and clarifying that you actually understand the terms that are being used, right? So do you understand what a logical contradiction is?
Yes.
Could you tell me what a logical contradiction is?
A logical contradiction?
Yeah.
That's when your contradiction. That's when you contradict yourself. You say one thing, but you say another thing, and then they don't match.
Okay, but now this is probably part of the problem, right? Is you don't actually have a clear understanding of what a logical contradiction is. So the definition of contradiction is not you say one thing and then you say another thing and they don't match. Do you want to try again, or do you want me to just help you understand what it is?
Yeah, go ahead and let me see what you have to say.
Yeah, so a contradiction is the assertion of a propagation and its negation in a conjunction. P and not P.
Yeah, listen, I understand all your autism, but you do not approach this. So I've tried to explain to you that your whole syllogism is framed completely in the wrong way, because you are separating human and animal, and then you're putting them together as the same thing as sentient being.
Well, wait a second. We need to just make sure we have an understanding of the logic here, right? Because if you understand that the syllogism itself is deductively valid, then your only way to argue against it is to take issue with one of the premises, right? So we'll get to that and make sure there's an understanding of validity also. But just to start with contradiction, so can you I just want to make sure you get what a contradiction is. So can you give me just an example of a logical contradiction?
Well, it's like one of the things you said, you can and cannot lift a weight, you know?
Sure. And you understand that the reason why it's true that I can lift this weight, it's false that I can lift this weight, is a logical contradiction, is that you are asserting a proposition and then its negation, right? So a proposition, that's a statement that can have a truth value. So, Mike is alive, or, animals have DNA, or houses are pink, right? So you got a proposition, and it can be either true or false. So when you say a contradiction is the assertion of a proposition and its negation in conjunction, what you're saying there is that you're stating a proposition, so P, and then in conjunction, so and, its negation, right? The negation is not P. So any sentence of that kind of structure, it's true that Mike is alive and it's false that Mike is alive. It's true that the sun exists and it's false that the sun exists. Those are logical contradictions.
I haven't explained how you said you could switch every trait and you could put anything in. So what if we put plants in instead of animals?
Well, wait. See, the problem is that you want to try to get into talking conceptually about the argument, but I need to make sure that you actually understand the nuts and bolts, right? Because you don't seem to understand where the contradiction comes from. So I'm just walking you through the logic. So I'm going to assume we have an understanding of what contradiction is. If it looks like we don't, we can come back to it. Do you understand what a valid argument is?
Absolutely, yeah.
What's a valid argument?
No, just go ahead. I'm not going to answer these essay questions. I mean,
Well,
if you want to go ahead.
No, Mike, I don't want you to pretend like you know the answers, right? Because I don't think you know these basic things. That's why I'm asking you them. So what is a valid argument?
I'm not into all this technical fucking jargon for critical thinking, you know.
Okay, so you don't
But
actually
you're
know.
dealing with all this technical stuff.
Well, wait, you don't actually
When
know if the argument is valid.
Nothing you do plugs into the real world. And I explained that.
Well, wait, so would you affirm that
you call it human, non-human?
That you
So
don't
it can't be done.
understand if
Naming the trait is impossible. You have to call it human and non-human.
Mike,
You thought with the axiom you could never kill an innocent human.
Mike, wait. Would you affirm that you don't understand if the argument is valid or not?
You framed name the trait to make it impossible.
That's a yes or no. That's a yes or no. Would you affirm that you understand that you do not understand whether the argument is valid or not? Yes or no?
Yeah, there's lots of things that come into play to make an argument valid.
I didn't ask, are there lots of things that come into play to make an argument valid? I asked, would you affirm that you don't understand whether the argument is valid or not? Yes.
The argument, you mean this name the trait argument?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not valid.
Okay, so if you're making the positive claim that the argument is not valid, I'm definitely going to make sure that you at least know what validity is. So can you just define validity?
Yeah, with name the trait.
No, the definition of validity has nothing to do with name the trait. No, Mike, I'm going to cut you off right there. Mike, I'm going to cut you off right there. Mike, I'm going to cut you off right there. The definition of validity does not involve the word name the trait.
Yeah, we're not going to sit there and specifically answer your specific questions like I'm on trial.
Wait, no, Mike. Wait, you've made a positive claim. The claim that you have made is that the argument is invalid. If you're going to make that claim, you absolutely must know what validity is. So I'd like you to give me a definition of validity to make sure that you understand what you're saying.
Validity? What validity means?
Yeah, validity in logic.
Means it's proven to be correct. If something is valid, it's proven to be correct.
No, that's not the definition of validity. If you look up validity in logic, you will not see definition
Okay.
proven to be correct.
What we're going to do,
Would you affirm that you
want to debate me,
Mike?
if you want
I
to
think-
debate me,
I think it's
we'll
really
have 10
obvious.
minutes where you can grill me like this and I'll answer all your questions. And we're going to have 10 minutes where I
Wait,
grill you
wait,
and you're going to
Mike,
shut up and you're
Mike,
going to answer all my questions.
Mike.
No,
wait,
you
wait.
can't debate like this.
Yeah, no, Mike.
You cannot,
Mike.
you cannot sit here and
Mike,
control a debate like
Mike.
this,
No,
where
Mike,
you drill
Mike,
questions
Mike, you
and
can't
I
weasel
answer
off
them.
of the points.
That's
can't
the way to
weasel off
debate.
of the points, right? You
That
can't
is the
weasel
way to
off of
try
the
to
debate.
dominate
You
your
can't
debate.
wait, Mike. You can't weasel off of the points, right? So you've made a positive.
You cannot
So
sit
you
there
wait, Mike.
and dominate
No,
the
no,
debate
Mike.
like this.
Mike.
Cut me off.
Wait.
This
No.
way. That's not how
Okay,
I'm
I'm gonna have to
debate.
use priority. So, Mike, I also have a 5 times rule. So you've hit 1 here with being evasive, right? Once you hit 5, I don't talk to people anymore. So what I am doing is, wait, did he leave? Oh, okay.
Well, that was a
I
good
think
debate.
he left.